Companies choose their data platforms before ever documenting their workloads. Then every new requirement just gets shoved into it because the contract's already signed, the migration already started, and the architects have already justified their decision. Nobody wants to be that person returning to that executive meeting then saying that the original decision was reasonable, but the new workload changes our answer. So the platform becomes the requirement. That is backwards. Platform selection should be a workload decision, not a loyalty program. Choosing one data platform for every workload is like requiring an engineering plant to buy every machine from the vendor that supplied an excellent drill press. Consolidating vendors may simply be procurement, but it does not turn that drill press into a milling machine. I recently faced this exact decision during an architecture audit for an engineering company. In my 26 years in data, I have seen this way too often. And here is what happened in this specific situation. The company was migrating its traditional business data environment from Synapse into Fabric. I reviewed the current architecture, migration design, platform cost, all their capacity and workload, their governance and security, their data ownership, operations, and the path from Synapse into Fabric. For the company's conventional business and operations data, Fabric was a reasonable choice. The organization was already heavily invested in Microsoft, Power BI mattered to its users, and much of the workload was structured data supporting reporting and analytics. Its identity systems, their team skills, their support model, their existing organizational momentum all leaned in that same direction. Fabric could reduce the number of separately managed services involved in those workloads and give the organization a more connected path from ingestion and engineering all the way through their warehousing and into Power BI. Fabric operates multiple analytics workloads over one lake and shared capacity models. That makes capacity planning, workload contention, throttling, and workspace design part of that architecture, not some administrative detail. I was not there to manufacture a reason to kick them out of Fabric. For the workload being migrated, the decision made really good sense. Then I met with the executive team to get their future vision of their data platform. And it included CAD drawings and technical files and documents, all of their operational information connected to those engineering assets. They needed vectorization, semantic search. They wanted to use AI-assisted discovery, and analysis was going to be across both engineering and business information. At that point, the easiest recommendation would have been to approve Fabric for everything, but not the right one. The company had momentum. The migration was already moving. A single platform recommendation would have been simpler to explain, to govern, to purchase, and support. It also would have skipped the architecture work. Fabric can process structured, unstructured, and streaming data. It includes Spark, ML workflows, along with capabilities for document processing, AI-assisted transformations, embeddings, and some vector search patterns. This was not a question of whether Fabric could participate in the workload. The question was if it was the strongest economic and operational fit for the full engineering and AI vision the company had described. That workload would require more than placing documents in storage and asking some chatbot questions. The company would need to process engineering files, define document and drawing extraction patterns, manage embeddings and indexes, connect unstructured content to operational records, evaluate all of this retrieval quality, their control access, their lineage, and they're going to have to decide how those AI capabilities would move from an experiment into a supported product that they could use across the organization. For that part of the roadmap, I recommended Databricks because Databricks provides this governed storage and processing for unstructured files, integrated vector search capabilities, machine learning and model management services, and governance of their data and AI assets through the Unity Catalog and the newly Unity AI Gateway. Those capabilities aligned well with the engineering heavy direction that the client was wanting to explore. But putting everything on Databricks would have also been a bad choice. The company already had a reasonable Fabric direction for their structured business analytics. Power BI was central to their business, and the operating model and migration path already supported it. Moving all of that work simply to make the architecture design use one logo would have created migration cost and organizational disruption without clear workload benefits. So, the recommendation was to evaluate a deliberately bounded hybrid architecture. Fabric would support their traditional business intelligence, their reporting, and their structured operational analytics, while Databricks would be evaluated for the engineering-heavy, unstructured, vectorized, machine learning, and AI-oriented workloads. The real work was defining what those boundaries were going to be. Which platform owns which part of the data? Where does the authoritative data actually remain? When should data move? And when should one platform access it without creating another unnecessary copy? Well, there are some newer things in both Databricks and Fabric that help both ways with sharing data from Unity Catalog into one lake and from one lake into Unity Catalog. So, how do you identify security, your lineage, your deployment, your support, and your cost management with both environments? A second platform adds integration, governance, operational support, specialist skills, and more places for responsibility to become really vague. Hybrid architecture is not automatically more advanced, though. It is justified only when the workload advantage is greater than the cost of the operational boundary. My audit in this case happened to involve Fabric and Databricks, but Snowflake belongs in this conversation as well. For a SQL-centric organization where managed analytics, workload isolation, data sharing, and existing Snowflake skills dominate existing data platforms, Snowflake may be the right decision. Snowflake also supports unstructured documents, semantic retrieval, machine learning, and broader AI workloads. Treating it merely as a traditional warehouse would be unfounded here. The same warning still applies, though. Don't turn every requirement into a SQL problem simply because SQL is where the team feels they're safest. All three platforms are valid. There is definitely overlap between them, and a platform being technically capable of a workload does not automatically make it the best place to operate that workload. But the useful part of the audit is not that I recommended Fabric here and Databricks for the engineering piece. The useful part is understanding how to make that decision when the next client, employer, or vendor gives you a completely different set of requirements, because the correct answer will change. The questions should not. Here are those 5 questions. The first one is, what must the platform actually do? Start with the workload shape, not the vendor demo, not the current job titles, not the feature matrix. What data are you actually going to process? How often are you going to process it? At what scale? Keeping in mind what that future is going to look like. Scale today. What's the scale going to look like in a year? What's the scale going to look like in 3 years? Be sure you ask those questions. And then, with what latency, concurrency, and reliability requirements does it need to move? Is the primary outcome a governed executive report, a streaming operational product, a machine learning workflow, or a retrieval across millions of documents and drawings? In the audit, the structured business workloads and the engineering document workloads were not interchangeable merely because both involve data. Ignore this question and you may end up selecting a platform that can complete the workload, but makes the most important part of it unnecessarily difficult or compute expensive. Second question, what already exists that would be expensive or foolish to ignore? Existing gravity is a legitimate architecture input. Understanding that is key to being the architect, and that includes cloud agreements, identity and security systems, Power BI or Tableau adoption, your current storage, your deployment tooling, your platform skills, support processes, and your organizational momentum. The engineering company's Microsoft investment mattered. Pretending it didn't would have produced a theoretically clean recommendation and a practically terrible migration. But existing gravity is not a prison sentence. If a strategically important workload suffers material disadvantages on the current platform, we already bought it, is not a good answer. Ignore the existing gravity, and your migration costs are going to eat your expected value. Obey it blindly, and your sunk cost starts making future architecture decisions on their own. Question number 3. Who must operate this after the architecture presentation ends? When you walk away from that business, if you're a consultant, who's going to keep up with it? If you're part of that business, also still, who's going to be responsible for keeping up with it? A platform does not run itself just because that diagram looked convincing. Who builds the pipelines? Who's going to handle the deployments? Who owns the governance? Who monitors cost? Who responds when capacity is overlooked, a warehouse keeps running, and an index stops refreshing, or a security boundary is broken or wrong? A SQL-centric analytics team and a mature platform engineering team can look at the same product and experience very different levels of complexity and anxiety about those things. The right architecture has to fit the people, practices, and support model that is going to operate it. Ignore that, and you create a platform that depends on the skills that the company can't hire, retain, or consistently apply. Question number 4. What does the complete business outcome cost? Don't compare only the advertised compute unit. The 3 areas I look at first are compute, duplication, and the people required to operate the platform. Then you need to look at these things: capacity utilization, idle resources, concurrency, storing, networking, data movement, licensing, your engineering productivity, and your operational support. Fabric's capacity model can be attractive when usage is predictable and managed well, but poor workload management can create contention and throttling, and all of a sudden you have a CU bill that is through the roof. Databricks and Snowflake provide controls for monitoring, attributing, and limiting consumption, but badly configured or poorly governed compute can burn money while producing very little outcome. A cheap platform operated poorly becomes expensive incredibly fast. And sometimes the highest cost is forcing your engineers to fight the platform simply because procurement simplicity was more important than workload fit. Question number 5. Which feature requirements are real enough to affect today's decisions? Architecture should support future direction without building an imaginary 5-year empire on day one. Ask which AI, real-time, unstructured data, governance, acquisition, open format, or data product requirements are already funded, strategically important, and likely enough to influence the platform boundaries now. The engineering company's CAD and AI vision mattered because it could become a meaningful engineering capability. That justified designating a evaluation path. It did not justify migrating every existing workload, duplicating every data set, or immediately operating 2 full platforms at maximum scope. Preserve your options where the cost is reasonable, and build the capabilities the organization can actually absorb. Now, when should a second platform actually be introduced? It should have to pass 6 tests. The workload is strategically important. The current platform creates a material, technical, economic, or operational disadvantage. The platform boundary can clearly be defined. Your identity, governance, lineage, and ownership can span both environments. The organization can support the additional skills and operations, and the measurable value exceeds the integration and management cost. Bad reasons are much easier to find. An architect wants to play with another tool. Every team wants to select its own platform. A vendor demo excited your executive. Nobody wants to make a difficult standardization decision. An old platform is kept alive just for perpetuity, just in case something ever happens. Or uncontrolled sprawl gets renamed a sophisticated strategy. Every additional platform needs to earn its place. Otherwise, hybrid architecture is just unpaid technical debt with branding that you're going to have to hire support for. For individual engineers, the lesson is different. An enterprise may need to evaluate all three platforms. You should not try to master all three at once. Build strong SQL, Python, data modeling, distributed compute, your governance, your cost awareness, all of those fundamentals should be core to who you are as a data engineer. Learn one major platform deeply enough to understand what is happening beneath the interface. Then study how the same architecture concepts appear in each one of those other platforms. Platform knowledge can get you an interview. Transferable architectural judgment is what keeps your career useful when the preferred platform changes. And over my 26 years, they have changed a lot. So stop asking which platform wins. Ask what the workload requires, what the organization can operate, and what complexity the business is willing to pay for. The winner isn't the platform with the longest feature list. It's the architecture that produces trusted business outcomes without unnecessary cost and complexity. If you are ready to build resilient pipelines, be sure you check out this playlist right now.